Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, how are my snipers doing today? I hope you guys are doing fantastic. Listen, today we're going to be talking about the one and only Kaspa coin. Now, listen, we have very interesting structure. Okay, we have very interesting structure, and this is going to be kind of a do or die, make or break scenario, especially on the monthly people. Okay, this isn't a joke. This is not a joke. I know sometimes like to joke around, but this is actually pretty damn serious. Look, right? We can see the monthly candle close has been fairly weak. The last week of practically July was devastating, and that is just the reality. Okay, we can see the monthly the way it closed. It closed below this April high. Okay, when we go and look at the actual body, which is very important, we closed below it. Okay, boom, which is not ideal, right? It is not ideal. Now, the only saving grace we have at this current moment is the fact that this bottom over here is lower than this bottom over here back in June. Okay. Because it means, although, we are failing to push higher, we're also failing to push lower. Okay. Which means we're kind of getting at a point where we're going to be squished soon and the market has to decide. Okay. Because it could only go on for so long before it literally has to decide. I mean, it just has to, right? And we can see, right, even in terms of the weekly people, right, when we go and look, we can see that, boom, right, we have this high over here on the weekly, we have this one over here, we have this one over here, and then we have the bottoms, which is the black candle, right? Boom over here, and you can even debate boom over here. Now, technically, this could be, invalidated as long as we're above this one over here, right? But yeah, like, look, you know, we're getting squished is the main point, and we have to decide. Now, the good thing is that this is actually fairly bullish, in my opinion. This structure here, personally, I find it fairly bullish because of just from the experience in the markets. Now, that doesn't mean there won't be a wick to the downside to manipulate, but I do believe with the context we have and everything, I do believe altcoins will see some type of resurgence to the upside. Now, the reason why I also have to say this, ladies and gentlemen, is because when we go and look at something like our beloved chart over here, we can see this is pretty much the amount of money and the market cap that is currently in altcoins, right? That's currently in altcoins. And we can see that we are kind of just in a diagonal kind of trend, right? We are in a diagonal trend. And for altcoins, right, in this altcoin chart, we are actually, and we have closed higher, right? We actually closed really well in terms of altcoins themselves. So for me, this is kind of like, this sell off is just to bait people, is just to accumulate before we start getting serious rallies. Because we have this high over here, this high was higher, and this high was clearly higher. We have this low over here, we have this higher low, and wherever we end up will most likely be based off just a trend and basic fundamentals. Even if we sell off another 5-10%, right, we'll have a higher low, indicating that altcoins are still overall trending to the upside, despite it being tricky to tell because of the sideways movement. Okay, you have to realize once we get this confirmation, right, boom, we go down here, possibly we go a little bit sideways. Once we do something like this, the next big move is going to be back to these all-time highs. And there may be a small rejection off of here, but we are practically just a few steps away from really seeing altcoin season. Now, yes, I know it's very annoying. Some people have been waiting for years now. I get it, and some of the prices haven't really delivered. But when they will deliver, people, you will still get those life-changing gains. I know some people expected certain gains back in March, April because of last cycle, but trust me, you will still get those gains. And this applies for Kaspa too. Okay, this applies for Kaspa too, which is why I'm mentioning, right? Because I know a lot of you guys are Kaspa watchers, but you also hold other altcoins as well. Okay, So yeah, like listen, I know it doesn't seem, the most ideal, the most fun scenario, but this is just has to play out. You have to realize accumulation is very important, okay? Because accumulation means we cover all the zones, right? We cover all the zones, and then when we finally break out, this becomes a huge support. Like think about how much structured this is, right? So once we do break out, right, this is just going to be huge structure. Plus, we also do have this massive support that we've been looking to be breaking out of for a while, right? So it's like it's a double positive. Not only that, we would also create a reverse head and shoulders on Kaspa. Yes, it's a very, very weird head and shoulders. Okay. We have this big, gigantic shoulder. We have this discombobulated head, and it would probably get a fairly small shoulder because it would be mainly trending to the upside. But this to be very, very bullish, people. Okay. We might be actually in a scenario where we are going to be kind of like here, right? Where we had certain structure. Soon we're going to break out, create the reverse head and shoulders. Same thing, right? Literally a reverse head and shoulders. We have a shoulder one, a head, and then a shoulder two. And then we also had some type of support there, right? So it's the same thing, right? And what happened after? Not too long after, pumps happen. So I know people have been waiting. I know people are getting impatient. I know people, they're upset. Some people are just worried. But listen, ladies and gentlemen, right? We should not be looking to be going below, 5 cents, 6 cents. Those days really should be over. Unless we get something really wrong about the market, right? With the whole Bitcoin thing and just altcoins that say never had their time to shine, then that is the only way. But that's a very, very small probability, less than 1%. Because from experience in trading and everything, you have to believe that the markets are in a way rigged. People thought everything was over when price action went down here. But like we said, we talked about it and we said, listen, guys, this is just a simple 1, 2 to go to the upside. Okay. And of course, this is not in hindsight, it literally was that. But we called it before it even happened. So, you know, just be calm, don't worry too much. I'm personally going to be looking to be accumulating Caspa a little bit more, right? Some great times to be buying Caspa are now and even possibly down at 7 to 7.5 cents. But yeah, fantastic, fantastic buying opportunities. Let me know if you guys are still buying. Let me know if you guys are just kind of clocked out. And yeah, that is ultimately it. Make sure to enjoy your weekend. Make sure to enjoy your summer as we are in August and summer is getting closer to an end for many places around the world. But yeah, that is it, ladies and gentlemen. I hope you guys did enjoy. I love you guys so much, and I'll talk to you guys next time. Goodbye.